When it comes to Warframe, it has always been about fast mobile ninjas, slashing, shooting, and doing whatever faster than the average meme cycle. But have you ever thought, what if Warframe had slow mechs, and most new players would go bonkers? But that exists, and these things are called Necramechs. In this video, I'll explain everything about Necramechs in Warframe. By the end of this video, you'll know everything about Necramechs and be able to use Necramechs effectively in Warframe. I can see over there groaning that instead of using your super fast mobile ninja Warframes, cutting through enemies like cheese, you have to grind even more for something you might not even use that is slower and worse than a Warframe. Well, then you are wrong, because Necramechs, though slower, I would say are even more devastating than Warframes, with a few drawbacks. So some quick background information about Necramechs. Until I get into the meat of the video, Necramechs are an alternative way to play Warframe, switching from fast and quick gameplay to a slower but more tankier gameplay. To explain, is like going from your pilot to a Titan in Titanfall. Anyways, these mechs were added in the Heart of Deimos update and come with an arch gun and an exalted weapon specifically for the type of Necramech. Necramechs can be leveled to level 40 by using 5 forma, which is 2 levels per forma, like the Kufu weapons and the Tenet weapons, and Paracesis. Now I'll be starting from how to rank in the Necraloid syndicate, which is required to get a Necramech, things you need to craft a Necramech. After that, I'll be talking about how to make your Necramech the best. In that last section, I'll be talking about using your Necramech and the times you could use it. So remember when I said it came with a few drawbacks? Well, I'll be explaining those there. Anyways, it's time for us to get into the first section. That is how to grind Necraloid to get a Necramech. Now, I'll get into that quickly, but first, I am Darth Toaster Ghost. I do Warframe and Destiny 2 guide videos to help new players or explain new content recently added to the game so people can get to grinding. If that is your thing, then absolutely decimate that subscribe button, and same goes for the notification bell. What you get from doing this is you get to know when I upload for free, which is an amazing price. Now back into the video. So the first thing you have to do to get a Necramech is level up the Necraloid syndicate. You can access the syndicate by going to this door as your operator and talking to Lloyd. Now, in order to level up the Necraloid syndicate is exchanging Orokin matrices. These matrices are obtained by killing Necramechs in isolation vaults. Isolation vaults are a type of bounty, and at one part of the mission, you fight Necramechs. You drop matrices depending on the tier of isolation vault. Tier 1 rewards orientation matrices, which is 1000 rep. Tier 2 gives ballistic, which is 2500 rep. And Tier 3 gives animus matrices, which is 5000 reputation. Now, I won't be spending time on the requirements to rank up the Necraloid, so here's a chart right up on screen. And once you get to the rank 2, if you want Voidrig or if you want bonewidow, but if you want bonewidow, then you have to get to rank 3. You can get the blueprints for them by just buying them with standing. Now, if you just want the rep, then do tier 3 vaults because they are 2 Necramechs to kill and the animus matrices give the most rep. Otherwise, you're going to need the matrices and go to the next rank. If you're a max rep, then go for the type you need and the specific isolation vault. Now, that's pretty simple, but it'll be a bit of a grind to the limit of standing you can get per day. Now, since we can get the blueprints, now it's time to get the pieces needed to make them. You'll also need specific parts needed are the casing, engine, capsule, and weapon pod. To be able to craft the parts, you need the damaged Necramech parts, acquired by killing Necramechs in isolation vaults. Yeah, we're back to isolation vaults. You'll also need some refined resources from the different open world areas. Now, don't worry, all you need to be is rank 1 SU, rank 2 Ostron, and rank 2 Entrati. You can get the refined material blueprints from Smokefinger and Fortuna, Otak, in the Necrolus and Soombat. The materials I'll put up on screen, which area they come from. The next step is crafting the pieces and then crafting your Necramech. So, time to wait. Now, since you have your first Necramech, it's time to use it. Now, remember what I said about it being a rep grind? Well, you technically don't need to do all of it, as if you complete the Heart of Deimos quest, you get a free Voidrig blueprints. You need to still get the resources though, and I'd rather grind the ranks, as rank 3 allows you to purchase Necramech mods. Also, if you want bonewidow, you have to get rank 3 in the Necraloid syndicate. Another thing is the Morga and the Cordage 2 archguns are attained through the Necraloid. But I just say don't get those because the Mousalon, or however you pronounce it, is more than enough firepower for the Necramech. Now, since you've gotten your Necramech, what can you do with it? First, Voidrig. You have Necroweb, which you can use it as an ability to throw a canister of fluid that slows down enemies that walk through it. Ability is affected by range, strength, duration, and efficiency. If the canister left on the ground is detonated through running out of time, it will make a glow barrier that slows enemies down by 50%. Do note though, as now there has been a bug that when you use your Necroweb, which is the first ability, it unequips your gun and you can only use melee. To counter this bug, you can easily switch to your 4th ability and just exit out your 4th ability. Now, onto the second ability. which is Storm Shroud. This ability allows for better survivability in close quarters combat and makes enemies take damage before hitting you. This ability is affected by strength, giving the ability of more absorption and damage the enemies take when hitting you. Third ability is Grave Mines, which launches grenades everywhere. This ability is affected by every stat, with duration making you launch more grenades, strength making the grenades do more damage, and range being the scatter of the grenades. Ability Guard Mode, which uses Voidrig's Exalted Weapon. This ability is affected by efficiency and duration. It is not affected by strength because it is a separate weapon you can mod. In order to use this ability, you have to be on the ground and you are stationary. You cannot use any other abilities in guard mode. Now, this is universal for both Necramechs, is the Mouselon. I still don't know how to pronounce it. That's just how I'm pronouncing it. Which is the main arc gun for a Necramech. It is like an arc gun, so there's nothing really special about it. If you don't like it, you can change out for a different arc gun. Now I'm on to bonewidow, which you need some different materials to make. I will put those on screen and where they are from. You will also need bonewidow blueprint from the Necraloid, which is rank 3. Anyways, the abilities. First, there's the meat hook, which skewers enemies, and when you use it again, it will throw them and it will land doing AoE damage. Ability is affected by range and strength. Now, ability numero dos is Shield Maiden. Okay, no maidens meme out of the way. Now, this ability does is raise your shield and you're able to bash enemies with it when you use the button again. Now, it is affected by strength and efficiency. Next is Firing Line, which sweeps enemies in a line with a beam. Now, this ability is affected by efficiency, range, and duration. Now, finally, the Exalted Weapon, Iron Bride. Now, like Voidrig's Exalted Weapon, it can be modded separately. Now, unlike that, Necramech Pressure Point, ability, strength, and ability range affect Iron Bride, which is weird. I don't know why that doesn't affect guard mode, but affects Iron Bride. It makes no sense, but we go on DE, affected by efficiency and duration. Now, if you use your Shield Maiden, then it widens the degree that your shield blocks to 220 degrees. Now, I did just talk about Necramechs and how they work, so I'll explain the mods that you need to get to make them go from to really, really, really good. Okay, now each mod comes from different sources. The red arrows are mods from Jugulis Rex, from the Pit Monster Puzzle and Isolation Vaults. Blue means it comes from the Isolation Vaults drops like RNG drops, and yellows from the Necraloid Syndicate. Okay, starting backwards, the Necraloid Syndicate is easy as you just need to get rank 3 and have the standard to buy them, which can be done easily. A 2-in-1, in fact, the Isolation Vault drop mods, and if you're really lucky, you can get the room for the Pit Monster Puzzle, which you'll be able to get the mods from. I'll explain the puzzle in right now. You shoot, so here's how the puzzle goes. You shoot cysts and throw balls into a hole until a piece of Orican object in the middle falls from the ceiling, and you keep repeating that. Now, that's the simple way, but to really give you more detail, you start off by shooting some cysts, and a weird ball that you need to throw into the pit will drop somewhere. Just make sure to follow the trail. After you throw it into the pit, you shoot more cysts, and repeat until the entire Orican object has fallen into the hole. Then go down there and fight a Jugulis Rex. This is the way to get mods, and the chart is right here for what can drop. You can use your Necramech in Railjack and open world areas. Some specific uses are bounties, an obvious one as you can use them in any open world. Also, Voidrig's 4 is used in Eidolon hunts, and with mods, I don't know how to pronounce this 4. Just guard his Exalted Weapon can be a very powerful tool. Prophet Taker is one for Orb Valis, which technically Necramechs breaks the purpose of Prophet Taker as you're supposed to use the Gravamag with haha corn bot go burr. I love Necramechs. And another specific use is the Orphix missions, and are basically required because the Necramechs that are spawned in there are garbage. Earlier in the video, I said I will talk about the downsides of Necramechs. Well, here we are. First, you cannot use them in regular missions. They are slower, which is kind of obvious, but there's the ram move that you can charge if you hit your sprint button multiple times. But doing that and sprinting will also drain that energy bar below your screen, which I'm zooming in on right here. And there's also how weak it is when it starts out, and some of the abilities kind of suck for Voidrig. But bonewidow seems very good, even though I don't have her. Another drawback is the fact that if it dies, you have to wait a whole minute to bring it back if it dies. Yeah, that's a very long time, a whole minute. Now, besides those drawbacks, the Necramech's firepower, specifically Voidrig's, is really good. If not, I would say overkill. What I mean is, Mouselon Arc Gun is really good, and the Exalted Weapon for Voidrig is literally the power to remove enemies from the code. But you will need to mod them, which is like everything in Warframe. Is hit the mods and make them really good. Necramechs are just really good in bounties as they provide for good tanks, and like I said, when modded, they can be really insane. The final benefit of them is that they're fun to use. Now, that was everything you need to know about Necramechs in Warframe. From the resource acquisition of your Necramech to how to use it, and how to get mods to make your Necramech better. If you got to the end of this video, subscribe and comment which Necramech you prefer. For me, it's Voidrig. Now I'll see you next time. Stay toasted.